Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provide us with a planet full of resources, and resources refers to all the materials available in our environment which help us to satisfy our needs, and it's divided to renewable and non-renewable resources. Renewable resources means energy that is sustainable, something that can't run out. It includes hydropower and wind energy and solar energy, while non-renewable resources include coal, natural gas, and oil. Once these resources are used up, they cannot be replaced, which is a major problem for humanity, as we currently depended on them to supply most of our energy needs. So we have to utilize them reasonably by not wasting them to reach our 17 goals in SDG by 2030.
Greed means the intensive desire for something. Greed is a characteristic of each of us. Greed cannot be completely forbidden and cannot be completely corrected, but it is controllable. Appropriate education will bring greed to the right way, so that some human problem can be solved. In fact, if one works hard to obtain with and give it to those needs, then this greed is positive. Greed is a expectation selection only when it dies. People can only slowly produce gratification. It is not a present to try to get what he doesn't need, which is called greed. The behavior of greedy people can cause some bad luck and adverse events in society. They disregard justice, do everything they want, and create a decent economic deserve in society. Prophet Mohamed discovered over confirmation, Lucy, and livingness, and encouraged moderation in all walks of life. We can find evidence against waste in many places. Waste not by excess, for Allah loves not the wasters. And eat and drink be not extravagant. Surely Allah does not love the extravagant. It is not permissible to throw the food in the garbage. Doing so is considered as disregard for the benefits of Allah and a failure to comply with His orders.
Conservation and protection of the environment is one of the essential protected aspects in Maqasid al-Sharia and is classified under the preservation of property. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has assigned human beings with the responsibility of Khalifah to preserve and conserve the environment. As Allah highlighted in the Quran in Surah Al-Ankabut, verse 36, commit no mischief on earth. It is undeniable that in Islam, Allah opposes environmental destruction. So how to conserve our current resources in Islamic point of view? There are guidelines to preserve resources and environment in Islam based on the Holy Quran and Hadith that most people can follow. Firstly, preserving resources can be seen through a hadith Sahih al-Bukhari. In this hadith, we can see how the Prophet Mohamed ﷺ was careful in utilizing natural resources like water. The fact that it includes conducting ibadah such as wudu, we are commanded by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ to observe moderation, utilize only what is required to avoid wasting. Secondly, in Islam, it teaches us to not consume excessively in life to avoid wastage. As mentioned in the Holy Quran, Surah Al-Araf, verse 31, this verse explains that we become more greedy as we eat more. We make more waste the more we buy, for instance, throwing away the packaging and throwing away all items. Therefore, we must limit our overall consumption in order to lessen the amount of rubbish produce which will cause a lot of pollution on earth. Lastly, in Islam, the act of planting more trees is known as an act of sadaqah, as it is something that will give benefits to the society. As mentioned by the Prophet Muhammad, this means that every good act and useful conduct performed by any individual would be rewarded. It may appear to the human eye as a single act of planting, but it benefits many people in the long run. Next, many people are wondering if gluttony is a form of a waste. So let's start with the definition itself. Gluttony is one of the most serious sins that has caused people problems since it may harm one's bodily and spiritual health. It is defined as a person's desire for worldly things that might have a detrimental impact on their akhlaq, such as boasting, envy, immodesty, and arrogance. For instance, many people consider overeating to be a simple act of self-indulgence when they are surrounded by excellent food. But Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala clearly does not. As mentioned in the Holy Quran, Surah Al-Araf verse 31, in this verse, it clearly highlighted that extravagant lifestyle is a disregard for Allah's blessings as it could lead to wasting. For example, excessive food consumption, because it may result in an excess of food leftovers that actually can be provided to those in need. As a result, our Prophet Muhammad SAW advised us to be moderate, as he mentioned in Hadith at-Tirmidhi. People are advised to eat moderately and be content, which is enough to keep one going to carry out acts of worship. Therefore, gluttony is proven to be a sort of waste since it can lead to food waste, which is prohibited in Islam since it can have a negative impact on the environment, such as clogging drains if there is excessive garbage be thrown away, resulting in pollution.
Economics of wasteful or excessive consumption. What is the choice of set that Islamic principles allow us to choose? In consumption, wasteful or excessive spending is discouraged in Islam. Quran says, "Eat and drink, but do not waste." Surah Al-Araf, verses 7. We know that quantity produced and supply along with prices of goods and services vary across regions. Likewise, technology-induced creative destruction results in decline in prices of electronic products which were produced in past. Market skimming pricing strategy looks to charge higher price when the product is launched and decrease the price later on. So, the goods can be cheaper or expensive across time and space based on different factors. From Islamic perspective, the choice set for consumer should only include halal products. Consuming halal products earned by halal means is an important obligation of Muslims wherever they live. As per the Islamic tenets, it is the responsibility of every Muslim to follow norms and values as provided by the Holy Quran and Hadith as best as they can in their daily life, even though it is challenging to assimilate Islamic norms to a non-Muslim majority surrounding. Secondly, Islamic principles allow fulfillment of needs where not only the basic needs are taken in consideration, which is daruriyat, but also convenience, hajiyat, and embellishments, which is tahsiniyat, in a hierarchical order. Nonetheless, Quran also informs about excellence in spending, which is to give in charity whatever is in excess of needs. Surah Al-Baqarah, verses 219. Charitable giving is deemed as one of the most important obligations in Islam, which impacts in the well-being of an individual and the welfare of the society as a whole. So, Islamic economics principles discourage excessive spending and encourage sharing resources with wider community through sadaqah, waqf, and riba fil-qad. This can provide more resources at the disposal of poor and needy and for the social causes which are working for the educational and health-related needs of poor and needy.
In conclusion, Islamic teachings have repeatedly mentioned that conserving natural resources is important, as Islamic teachings, traditions, and beliefs offer a comprehensive and acceptable approach to the world's current environmental concerns that benefits humanity. It is due to the fact that Sharia contains detailed rules on how to conserve the environment to remind us about the significance of protecting our resources. The Holy Quran and Sunnah serve as a paradigm for sustainable development in Islamic countries and beyond the world. As a result, human beings are commanded by Allah to refrain from causing mischief and misusing resources, as these actions degrade the environment. As a human, we should consider a simple way of living to be extremely beneficial to environmental security. It helps in the conservation of natural resources as well as the saving of financial resources on trash disposal and pollution management systems. It is because waste management planning is a significant process that demands not only logistical planning and scientific knowledge, but also religious understanding in order to balance the influence on the environment and the efficiency of the process. Finally, the resurgence of Islamic living and the Islamic state are the two tools that can preserve environmental balance throughout the time. Hadith and Quranic verses have mentioned that sustainable environmental health plays a very important role in Islamic teachings, which encourage cleanliness, a hygienic lifestyle, and consumption moderation. And that's all from us. Thank you for watching.